Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. I know it's Christmas and all you want to do is talk about shiny tech gadgets or things that you want to get over the holiday season that you've had your eye on all year round. But I want to bravely entice you back down to earth and talk about the world of insurance, or more specifically, insurtech. And for those of you that don't know, insurtech is just short for insurance tech, really, where technologies and platforms that are helping to optimize any of the principles for success or requirements of insurance. By extension, it's just any company that provides insurance through the engagement of technology, but most importantly, in a user-centric way. So with that in mind, today I want to talk to the guys at Ethos, which is a new kind of life insurance built for people who don't have time for fine print, extra doctor's appointments or hidden fees. Instead, Ethos is using the power of technology and predictive analytics to modernize the life insurance process and align products with what families want and need during those critical moments in their lives. The company has seen robust growth in 2018, and one of the reasons they appeared on my radar was because with their revenue, customers and applications grew by more than 400% in the last 4 months, and has also raised a Series B financing round of $35 million. But not only that, their startup journey behind the company is quite inspirational too. Sounds like we got a lot to talk about, so buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to San Francisco so we can speak with Peter Corris from Ethos Life Insurance. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. I'm the CEO of Ethos Life Insurance. My name is Peter Corris. We are a life insurance company built for people who don't have time for fine print, extra doctor's appointments, or hidden fees.
Now, there is a lot of hype around insurance tech or insurtech at the moment, but before we get to that, can you just tell me a little bit more about what motivated you to start a life insurance company?
So my co-founder, Linky, and I were roommates at Stanford pursuing our MBAs. He was a software developer. I came from an advertising role. And while we were there, my co-founder, Linky, had purchased, or rather been sold, a permanent life insurance policy. It's like an expensive investment feature type policy when he was younger, when he was 20 years old, when he really had no need for it. And while we were at school, it got so expensive that he was forced to lapse it and surrender it. And so this kind of concept of someone being sold something they didn't really need sparked our interest in the business. And the more we dug, the more we learned to love it because it's a product that's intrinsically very good for people. If you look at the U.S., about 5% of kids will unfortunately lose a parent before they're 15 years old. And so the product itself has a great need. 70% of families, if they lost the breadwinning parent, would be bankrupt within a few months. But as important as life insurance is, we realized that it was a poorly executed product in that you had these very large incumbents who were very comfortable with what they're doing, prioritizing profits over people.
So you started Ethos with your college roommate. I mean, what was that experience like?
It was like a classic Silicon Valley story.
Yeah.
So, it was funny. We probably went to less class than we should have. We were holed up in the library for 2 years, working all day and every day. It became our main focus. The coolest part about it is, we were going through business school while we were starting this business. And so we had something to practically apply what we were learning in our classes towards. And I think that really helped us kind of learn the lessons in a deeper, more meaningful way than otherwise possible. But it was a great experience. Silicon Valley, and especially Stanford, is a wonderful place to foster, a new business with the relationships that you can make, all the people who are interested in helping you, and just the general enthusiasm and excitement.
So with Ethos, I believe 99% of applicants do not have to undergo any medical exam or blood test and are approved in under 10 minutes. So how are you able to provide life insurance to consumers completely online?
Correct. Ethos is a drastically different experience than the traditional industry experience. Typically, it takes about 15 weeks to get life insurance. You have to find a commissioned sales agent who works for one of the big established companies. Maybe it's New York Life or Northwestern Mutual or whatever. And that agent, they'll try to sell you the largest, most expensive policy they possibly can. And, it's just how the incentives are aligned. It's not their fault. But their incentives are aligned in a complete opposite manner from their customers. And, if you want to get the policy, you have endless paper forms, and you have to get a medical exam, a blood test, a urine test, and then you get this price that's, usually more expensive than you were originally quoted at. So it's not a consumer-friendly experience. Ethos is very different. You go to our website, you fill out an application, it takes the average person less than 10 minutes, and at the end of it, you're either approved or you're approved within a couple days. But as you mentioned, 99% of customers have no medical exam or blood test or urine test. And the way that we're able to do that is through algorithmic underwriting. And it has two main components to it. One is being able to validate if someone is being, transparent with us and forthcoming about, whether it's their behavioral history or their medical history. And then the second is predictive modeling around for somebody who, looks like you and is in your specific life scenario. What is their risk of passing away during a certain term length? And so we draw on all sorts of external data sources to validate people's information and predict their life expectancy. There's this whole science of unintuitive things, of being able to see unintuitive things that would predict your life expectancy. An interesting example is we figured out that how many speeding tickets you get is a predictor of your likelihood of getting cancer, right? That's not intuitive at face value, but what you figure out is it's a proxy for how you overall live your life. So it's a very complex actuarial science, but it's a interesting problem to solve. All of this science really just goes back into building a wonderful customer experience. The end goal is to make it very simple and easy for our customers so that they don't feel like they're being sold to, they don't feel like they had a burdensome process, and our customer reviews reflect that. People love Ethos.
And I think it was in October, you guys raised an incredible $35 million in Series B funding to continue your dedication to bridging the coverage gap in America. So I've got to ask, now you've got this funding, can you tell me a little bit more about how Ethos is actually addressing this coverage gap and how this funding is going to help?
So, in total, we've raised over $46 million from some of the hallmark venture capital firms like Sequoia Capital, Accel Partners, Google Ventures. The money is really to accelerate our growth. We didn't really need the funding. Ethos is in a great position, but we are interested in building a market leader. And to do that, we have to move fast. We have to hire the right people. We have to go to market quickly. We have to be flawless in our execution. And so that's what the fundraising was really about. You mentioned something which is addressing a underserved market. And that's the most interesting thing about Ethos, or one of them, in my opinion, is our average customer is not looking for life insurance when we find them. We really target people who are good candidates for life insurance, meaning they have some sort of need for coverage, but they are not actively pursuing or seeking life insurance. And what you find is because of this agent system where you're incentivized to sell the largest, most expensive policies, oftentimes agents will focus on customers who can afford, a very expensive policy, which is not the average family. And so with Ethos, where we have no commissioned agents, we have licensed agents, but no commissioned ones who are incentivized to sell a policy, and a great deal of automation, we can afford to serve the average American family. And we're very good at finding people and saying, hey, here's life insurance. Here's the value proposition of Ethos. You can solve this problem for 10 minutes or in 10 minutes. And so far, we found it's very compelling for a lot of people.
Now, customer-centric experiences are becoming increasingly important across the whole of the digital landscape. But in the world of life insurance, it's traditionally not sold or even bought. So how is Ethos navigating the industry with a customer-first approach and, of course, embracing insurtech?
Yeah, so we had to overcome that saying, which you just mentioned. There's a saying in the industry, life insurance is sold, not bought.
Yeah.
And I think there are two components to it, right? There's one, there's building an incredible product, and we are very methodical about that. We've hired some of the most sophisticated product people in the Valley, from companies like Facebook and Flipboard and just like these incredible product-centric companies to bring that kind of expertise to this product. And then the second part is growth, right? You can't be delusional about bringing a product solution to a customer acquisition problem. And so we've also brought in some of the strongest marketers and growth experts in the Valley from companies that just know how to grow at light speed Silicon Valley pace. And so it's a unique team with two very strong skill sets, is what I would say. A relentless focus on customer experience and the execution expertise to grow.
So just to bring you full circle here, you began life in life insurance because your roommate was sold life insurance he didn't actually need. So what advice would you give to younger people listening to this podcast who are unsure if they even need life insurance? Is there any advice that you could pass on them?
Yeah, I am a licensed life insurance agent in 50 states. So, the first thing to ask is, do you have a need? Which is, do people financially depend on you? And would they be at a loss if something happened to you? So it could be a spouse, it could be child, could be elderly parents. And if the answer is no, then you can probably wait a couple years and reassess it. But when you do have people who financially depend on you, getting life insurance is a selfless good deed. It doesn't benefit you, but you will feel proud after you get it because you're doing something that's really good and helpful for someone who you care about and love. And that feeling like a guardian is really a moment of pride for a lot of people.
So what are the biggest lessons that you've learned since launching your very own startup?
Oh, man.
There's a long list.
I have countless lashes on my back. What haven't I learned? And we are by far from perfect. I think you go into this when you start a startup, you often have to convince yourself to kind of jump over the ledge, right? Yeah. You have to convince yourself that there's this problem, and then you have to convince yourself that you are bringing a meaningful solution. And oftentimes people really sell themselves into that dream. And then once they go into the business, they realize, hey, the problem wasn't really a problem, or my solution wasn't really a solution. And a lot of times companies fail because of one of those two reasons. With Ethos, we've kept getting more excited about the problem and the solution since we started the business. And that's very rare. The opportunity has grown for us. The second thing is it is all about who you ask to join your team. I think my greatest accomplishment as a CEO has been hiring people who are 10 times smarter than me in their respective fields and getting out of their way, right? And so that's a very different skill set from when we originally started the company to now when we're about 40 people and growing quickly, which is your job role changes from being an individual contributor to being a judge of character and skill, and then figuring out how to set direction correctly, get people pointed in the right direction, and then get out of their way. Know when to take a step back. So my job description has changed a lot since we started the company, and I think it'll continue to evolve as we grow.
So looking towards the future then, what's next for Ethos, and what can we expect from you guys in 2019? Are there any teasers you could leave us with today?
Our goal is to build the next great life insurance company. If you look at like the ones I mentioned, like Northwestern Mutual, New York Life, MetLife, Mass Mutual, each one of these companies is about 150 years old, which is crazy to think about. And there are reasons for that. They started as startups 150 years ago. They went through all sorts of trials and tribulations to become the market leaders that they are today. But our goal is to be, the next great life insurance company, that Northwestern Mutual for people who are in the market today, for these generations. And the way that we do that is with a relentless focus on the customer, excellent execution, product innovation. So I think that you'll see and hear more of Ethos as we just continue to grow and execute.
And like I said at the beginning of the show, there is a lot of hype around insurtech at the moment, and there's blockchain and automation and various other technologies. Are you guys quite open to adopting and embracing new technologies to secure that competitive edge too?
I think we're built on the latest ones. And, this is like here's kind of something that I'll point out that differentiates us from our competition, which is the incumbents, right? Ethos has changed its technology stack since it launched a year ago, because we're always looking for the newest, best possible technology to be on. And you don't see that kind of iteration and innovation at a life insurance company.
Well, a huge thank you for spending time with me today. Before I do let you go, could I just ask that you remind the listeners of where they can find you guys online, and also contact your team if they have any questions at all after our conversation today?
Sure. Just visit us at ethoslife.com, and you can get a policy very quickly if you'd like it. And if you are in Silicon Valley and you're ambitious and you're smart, we're hiring across the board, and you check out our careers page and see if there's a role that suits you and if you're interested in the business.
Well, I'll add all those links to the show notes just so people can find you nice and easily. But what I love about what you're doing there is how Ethos is taking a technology-first approach to eliminate friction from the applications and claims process for your customers, and also built a brand that people love and trust. So it's that great combination of putting people first and by leveraging technology at the same time. So a big thank you for joining me on the show today. Thanks.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it.
I love how this story all began in a college dorm and his friend saying, "I just got a life insurance policy." Isn't it funny how these tiny little moments can spark something that's huge and essentially life-changing? And the life insurance industry as a product has had a reputation problem for a long time now. But I love how Ethos takes a technology-first approach to eliminate friction from the application and claims process for its customers, and built a brand that people can trust. And let's be honest, modernising life insurance is not the sexiest subject out there, but it is a crucial one. As always, I'll throw the mic back out to you. What were your thoughts on today's conversation? Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes, and keep your feedback and thoughts coming my way. And indeed, don't forget those Christmas movies too. Today I'm in a bit of a silly mood, so I think I'm going to watch Elf before preparing for tomorrow's show. So a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.